I have a complicated relationship with zoom. Just a few years ago, I was on a quest to max out zoom on everything. I grinded Iron Banner for the perfect 17 zoom multi-mach, embraced Eagle Eye with Akin's 70 zoom scope, and scrapped every close to mid-range weapon without rangefinder on it. Nowadays, I'm not so keen on high zoom. What changed? Zoom is a very important stat on weapons. If you're watching this video before Season 22, the higher the zoom, the greater the magnification, greater damage falloff, greater accuracy, and less recoil a weapon has. But there are some major changes coming soon, and I'll cover those later in the video. Let's talk about Rangefinder. In today's sandbox, Season of the Deep, the perk Rangefinder provides a 10% boost to zoom, pulling from whatever the weapon's base zoom is. Rangefinder in today's sandbox, and before, can feel like a must-have perk on close to mid-range weapon archetypes. The perk gives weapons a massive edge in effective range over any copy without it present. So many people swear by this perk, and I was one of them. Not too long ago, I would dismantle every single copy of a weapon that could roll with Rangefinder that didn't have it. I had a perception that if a close or mid-range gun didn't have Rangefinder, it was just going to get beat out by the ones that had it. No Rangefinder? Guards. After only using Rangefinder hand cannons for so long, I'd gotten really used to using them. But one day, I decided to pick up a retired favorite, Thorn. Using Thorn made me realize that Rangefinder had been holding back my confidence and aggression due to its higher zoom. This change in my playstyle was something I had never thought about while using Rangefinder this whole time. Rangefinder was making me play more passively. This brings us to our next topic, the effects of zoom on playstyle. The higher magnification a weapon has, the harder it is to aim and track the targets that are closer to you, and the easier it is to aim at targets that are further away from you. The more you zoom in, the bigger your target becomes, but the faster they strafe across your screen. This is the drawback of having weapons that have higher zoom. You often find yourself with people too close for comfort during a primary fight, resulting in having a hard time tracking them. In my journey to learn the effects of zoom on my playstyle, I realized the advantage of high zoom was just as much of a disadvantage, and I could take advantage of that to dominate the close ranges. In this game of playing effective ranges, my mindset shifted. Eager to learn more about the topic, I had a talk with the player by the name of Goose, who had racked up 30,000 Crucible defeats on a callous mini-tool, an SMG with only 13 zoom. Despite mini-tool lacking in range compared to something like a Rangefinder Immortal, they could still throw off an Immortal's aim to win the fight if they forced close range fights. In practice, the strengths of a lower zoom weapon allowed me to play extremely aggressively, being able to confidently hit shots at ranges that were normally too close for comfort with the higher zoom weapon. Being freed from the shackles of my previously slow-paced and passive play felt amazing. However, I quickly found myself missing the extra range that I had been accustomed to. But there are alternative perks that can boost range without increasing magnification. The first one is Opening Shot. Opening Shot is a perk that grants 20 aim assist, 25 range, minus 5% accuracy cone size, and minus 10% accuracy cone growth on the opening shot of an engagement, with a 3.1 second cooldown after firing. Opening Shot is a perk that pairs well with an aggressive playstyle, especially on hand cannons. When using this perk, I typically find myself playing range for the opening shot of the engagement. Once I fire the first shot, I can quickly identify whether the gunfight is a winning scenario or not, and choose to slide closer into effective range to finish the elimination. Opening Shot allows me to begin these fights much further away than I typically would be able to, on top of adding a massive aim assist boost to the first shot. The second perk is Slide Shot. Slide Shot has similar implications. Slide Shot grants 20 range and 30 stability for 3 seconds after sliding, and goes away once you fire a bullet in that window of time, as well as reloading 15% of your magazine. Rounded up. The playstyle implication for this perk is the same as described for Opening Shot, but with the slide before the engagement as well. These two perks paired together are a godly combo to watch out for. The final perk is Fragile Focus. Fragile Focus is a newly buffed option, granting 20 range when your shields are active, which is anything above 70 health. This perk is active practically all the time, and only really turns off when you no longer need it. It's a free 20 range in its current state, and Bungie's buffs to it seem to be a direct replacement for Rangefinder. Fragile Focus doesn't roll on too many weapons now, but make sure to keep an eye out for it in the future. Over time, the strengths of zoom have been adjusted many times. Back in Forsaken, weapons that came with scope options could make or break a roll depending on if you got the good scopes or not. Bungie stopped putting scopes on the weapons since then, but has been talking about decoupling damage falloff from zoom. Rangefinder has also had, and will have, nerfs in the near future. At one point, the bonus 20% aim assist falloff range was completely removed from the perk, and in a future patch, the bonus effective damage falloff will also be completely removed from the perk. This will effectively kill the perk, uncrowning the long reigning king, changing the once must-have perk into a shadow of its former self. The perk named Rangefinder will no longer find range. Maybe Bungie should rename it to Zoom Finder. These upcoming changes to zoom and rangefinder put zoom in a spot where it feels almost like a detriment to have high zoom, the opposite of the sandbox we've been living in for so long. My hope is with standardized weapon ranges, decoupling of range and zoom, and rangefinder getting nerfed are that Bungie takes this opportunity to go back to Forsaken and start making guns with scope options again. But this time, instead of a make or break with what scope you use, it's up to preference. Maybe this would be a good excuse to bring back Black Armory weapons sometime soon, since scopes were such a critical part of their identities. Fingers crossed. Zoom has dominated the Crucible for years, completely making or breaking weapons across all archetypes. Perks that resulted in increased zoom felt like must-haves, but with the coming changes to the systems, it might be time to find alternatives. I reconsidered using high zoom on everything during my journey to learn more and improve at the game, and it unlocked a confidence that I never had in myself before to hit shots and play more aggressively. Consider trying it out for yourself. You might be surprised on what you've been missing out on. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Come join my Discord at discord.gg/Izanamii or the link in the description. I'd love to chat with you. We also host activities such as custom PvP lobbies and a survival Minecraft server. Thank you for watching.